Food has been known to be a cultural ambassador, bridging cultural divides, promoting social change, raising awareness for global issues like sustainability and food security, and encouraging sustainable practices. Food is a universal language. It can break down barriers. It can build connections between people from diverse backgrounds. Food can be a catalyst for positive social change. But food is also one of the greatest recorders of our history, individual and collective. Tapping into this superpower of food is an offering fresh off the Bloomsbury press, titled Portuguese Colonialism, Food and Society in Goa, 1900 to 1961. It examines how food shaped Goan society during the Portuguese rule, particularly its last decades. The history of food in Goa, once the capital of the former Portuguese Empire in the east, has been largely overlooked. Now, no longer. And the author of this groundbreaking study is herself a powerhouse of information, recollection and flavor. The inimitable Dr. Maria de Lourdes Bravo da Costa Rodrigues. To the Goan, Dr. Rodrigues is a familiar and a well-respected figure. Historian, she is an authority on Indo-Portuguese and Goan history with a career spanning decades as librarian at the Krishnadas Sharma State Library, from where she retired as assistant librarian. She plays a crucial role in preserving and making accessible research resources to scholars, students, even the wider public like you and me. And even in retirement, she continues to support researchers, students, and history buffs through her expertise and guidance. A dedicated writer, she has contributed much to the documentation of Goa's rich cultural and colonial past, and we have just a small selection of everything that she's contributed to right here with us. Dr. Rodrigues, welcome to Doordarshan. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Congratulations on completion of your doctoral thesis. How does it feel?
I wanted to do my doctorate long back, so it was there in my plans. But working full time was not easy for me to start the research, because research is also almost full time.
Yeah.
And after retirement, I said, let me do it. A friend of mine asked me, why don't you do your doctorate? So I said, well, looking for a guide. He says, oh, but then go to a friend of yours who's a guide, and all that. So I said, okay. And I went and I asked him, I want to work, and I wanted, because food was always a part of my research, even from the very beginning. My first book was Thirsty Morsels on Food and Ingredients and Spices, because that was more for the essays that I have included in the book, and rather than for the recipes. So if somebody buys the book for the essays, for the history of thing, I'm more happy than somebody buying the book for the recipes. But since academics doesn't pay, and you needed recipes to back up the book. So and that's the reason I wanted to evolve on the same topic and work on food. And my guide, Dr. Remy Dias, agreed to my proposal, and he said fine. He didn't tell me that, oh, you have passed the age of being a student, like many would say, oh, we don't want people who are seniors. I mean, you can be a student at any time.
Yeah.
As a youngster or as a senior, you are never old to study and gain knowledge and also produce work, maybe academic or even fiction for that matter.
So that's the motivation, and it's inspiring, because I was going to ask you, everybody retires and then thinks about it as a time to relax. That's the time to kick back and say, I've done my days and now it's my own time on my terms.
Right.
So how did you find the motivation to keep going day after day?
My comment would be, I retired from the government service.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm not retired myself. I'm
great.
also academically working on for conferences, writing papers, and so producing also some kind of work. And I don't think I will retire till I mean, God allows me, gives me age and give me brains to work, which is more important. And I have support of my husband and my family, to continue working.
Okay. Yeah. Why did you choose this particular subject for your thesis and the book?
Yeah, as I said, I was already into food history.
Yes.
There was a big lacuna into the food history, history of food history in Goa, even about the food. And then it is up to us, up to the community to project your own food, and rather than people coming here interviewing you for an hour and then writing about the food in their own ways. You see, it is not exactly how it should be. But then if you look at my book, it's more, there are no recipes there. So it's not a culinary book, it is food history, altogether different. So when you say food history, people, you have recipes. No, I don't have recipes. I might have said something about preparation because I needed to connect to the text, but no recipes. So it is a clear difference between food history and culinary history.
What has been the journey of this book from inception to completion?
So I started first, we usually start with secondary sources, reading books. Of course, the chapterization is very important. So that I do along with the guide. And so we broke up the chapters. But I always had Usignan in my mind, because many people say it is it's just a fiction novel which talks about the Badkar-Munkar relation and nothing to do with the rice. Even somebody who used to teach Portuguese language commented. So I said, well, it is my analysis, and I will analyze the book in the way I want on the facts in the book. So if you look at the book, the cover of the book, some 4 editions, I am not talking my book, Usignan Daire, even 4 editions, all the editions have got the rice on the cover.
Okay.
The author himself said it is Badkar-Munkar relation, fine, but it is up to the critics to analyze the book. So his book starts also with the cultivation of Vangana, which is the second crop. Okay. So it is all about rice. All over it's rice in the book.
Okay.
Only using the rice, he has the history about the Munkar, about their problems, but the rice is the focal point.
What's been your method throughout the process? How have you dug so deep into memory, into remembrance, into record?
Yeah. So as I said, I had to do a lot of reading, secondary reading. When we mean secondary reading, we are talking about sources, secondary sources. We mean to say published sources, books and all that. Then I had to use the documents to defend my analysis, because just writing and analyzing a novel is not a part of history, it's part of literature. So I had to use documents to prove what I was saying, using the novel also. So I had to use since my period was from 1900 to 1961, I had most of my primary sources, the documents in the government gazette, what you call the Bulletin Official at the time. So I had to sit and assess and see what I could use. But there's a lot of literature which is now also a trend in using newspapers and periodicals, to write theses.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about the book itself and maybe go through the chapters.
Yeah.
For our viewers, this is no lightweight book on food. It is it's seriously weighty. It documents the transition of Goa. It documents the history, the beliefs, unfortunately the practices, some to our benefit, some to our detriment as well. And I'll just go through the chapters and we'll talk about that. So the first one, for example, is rice, the perennially insufficient Goan staple, a study of Usinyu the Era, the sign of wrath, and other historical literature. Why did you choose to open the book with an analysis or a study of a different book?
Yeah. Now, as I said, we cannot write on history of Goa, food history of Goa, without rice.
True.
Fine.
Yeah.
So, again, I knew Usignan Daire because I had read the Usignan Daire, may not be at detail. I knew Orlando Costa personally,
Okay.
and I have got an autograph copy only. Unfortunately, not the first edition, but an autograph copy nonetheless. And then I read the book. I said, why not use it?
Okay.
So it led me, when I started reading the book, I said, but it's going to give me a good subject for me to analyze. So that's how I started working. There are other books. I make references to other theaters and all that, you know, where also rice tanwanso problem. You know, there are some 2-3 theaters there. So there is rice has not been used. What I would say by people through the novels or through the theater, which is in fact very interesting.
Okay.
If one looks at it.
Your next chapter, Food, the Memory Connector, a study of Goan folklore and other forms of literature. Now, here you went much broader than just food and rice, didn't you?
Yeah. Here I was trying to connect the memories that arise when you look at some food or you eat at something. Now, this is a new topic even worldwide.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe some 10 years or 15 years back, studied more.
Okay.
It started, in fact, the food and memory started with a novel.
Okay.
Okay, a 7 volumes novel, and that was sort of a base to most of the people who were working on food and memory. But thereafter, there were many or quite a number of articles written by academics, especially anthropologists, then people who worked with even in medical sciences, how food is connected through smell.
Yeah.
Now, using all the 5, they
And
use
taste.
more the smell,
and
but I used all. When I went more into deep, I used all the senses and showed how all the senses were important for us. It's not only the smell. Smell is the most important, but the other senses, even the touch, for example, because I put an example of a mango. Okay, you touch a mango to see if it is ripe or unripe.
Yeah.
Okay, the colors also, the sight also.
Yeah.
So you know the fruit is ripe or not
Yeah.
ripe.
Yeah.
So that was I had a lot of reading done with foreign anthropologists and historians.
Okay.
I didn't have anything here.
Okay.
You know, to back up on studied on food and memory here, what I meant to say, and they helped me to analyze, and I was not sure if I was writing the right thing or not, you know, because you write, but then somebody has to be sure. If you don't have anything to back up on, you don't know. But my guy was happy. One presentation that I did, he was very happy. The DRC members, the committee for the PhD, they were also happy. And I was talking to a friend, she was also happy. So I knew I was on the right track, you know. So I think it's a contribution for food and memory. The first contribution would be my work.
But is this also the chapter where you talk about the mandos or dulpods, so the
Correct.
oral tradition of historical narration,
Yes.
so to speak?
So I use these folklore to show the connection to food.
The next chapter in your book is Feasts and Traditions, Borrowing to Celebrate Festivities and the Resultant Indebtedness. Now, this is something that is a grave truth of our culture, and I think it's true about all of India. It's something that we don't hold to account, but it is a practice that very often perpetuates poverty, indebtedness leading to bonded labor, and yet it's something that culture after culture, most generation after generation is not willing to hold to account to say this might actually break the cycle. Can you talk about this?
Yeah, the first part about food and religion, I only tried to connect the food that is offered or served to ecology and to traditions, like the Santana feast with the cucumbers, and because that is there is a tradition to offer to God the first produce. So the cucumbers come at that same time, you know. So that though the verses must have been, I would not say appropriated by the Portuguese to have verses, or by the Goans. In fact, the verses are by the Goan, like Toma pepino da menino, you know. So that has been used, and even urid, the dal, also was cultivated on the hillocks. And the kanji was served by the Dampos as a philanthropy, you know, because they have also to give.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Dampos, I remember my child, even some years back, they used to give to the poor lunch every day. Yeah, so some 3 years back they said they misbehave and all that, so we stopped doing that.
Okay.
But they used to give. And the Tisranche fest, which they say again connects to ecology.
Okay.
Okay, ecology, of course, celebration of the cross, feast of the cross, and then Tisras, because they are found in Nerul. Yeah, the best, one of the best Tisras in Goa from Nerul. So that I connected to ecology, because other food also that serve mango and jackfruit in one of the feasts of there in Nerul is again ecology.
Okay.
Okay. Now coming to indebtedness, which is something that people suffer, observe, and continue doing it, but people do not realize.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody wanted to be the mordom of the feast, you know. So when you come mordom, you have to spend.
Yeah.
So there was no money, but if you spend 10,000, I should spend 20 more, you know, and I should have a better show.
Yeah.
Now one example that I cite from the Signadeire, yes, from the Signadeire, is the feast that where the Badkar is the Mordom, in Margaon. So the firework that was shown to the public was the best and the most expensive, but he had no money with him. He had almost sold everything. He was in decadence, you know, but he wanted to show that I am, you know, the Badkar. So that's interesting to know. And who was Rodrigues, the Goan writer? He says what he called him, the Fugatekar. The Fugatekar was the most important person, because he had different kind of, you know, fireworks. So he would say that the best was used depending on the money that came.
Right.
Yeah. So now if you are taking a loan, okay, you have to pay it back.
Yeah.
And then you don't have the money, so it goes for generation. The family suffers. You don't have money to get for a common man to get your daughters married. You don't have money for medicines. You go on acquiring more loan, and it goes on. So observing these traditions doesn't work. So there were proposals then that the church should have stopped. And there's a comment of one of the columnists, and so I read the Konkani newspapers also, and very interesting. If you are interested to read, you get the, you know, it's a little difficult for us because we are not used to read the Konkani, but then at ease we can understand what they're trying to say. And the gentleman writes, the priest should stop, but why he should stop? He is the one who gets the best. He is paid highly, so he is not going to stop it. And then he gives the example. In those days, when it was a tradition, and 1 rupee was for a course of Feni, now it is 10 rupees. And the mass also was 1 rupee for the priest, now it is 10 rupees. So everything has increased. So stop. The comunidades should take over, all jointly they should celebrate.
Talking about the next chapter, the drink that cheers but brings tears. Tell us.
Yes, this is a big problem then and now too.
Yeah.
Okay, and the reason is the tax collected from alcohol sale. So why only blame them and not blame today? What happened during the COVID time? When the alcohol shops opened, the economy went up.
Yeah.
So it is the same. It was the same thing. So, but it became quite serious very serious because everyone started drinking. It was first only the proletariat that drank, then the Barkas started drinking. It went on. Then the Barkas, the rich people started drinking. Then they realized that there is really a problem, okay, which was affecting them directly. And we had, I don't know if you are aware that we had congressos provinciais. You know, they were meetings and conferences held by the elite, educated elite. So, at some point of time, it started in 1919. At some point of time, they only got it as a problem in 1927, and they said, no, we have to stop this, and the government has to do this, and government has to do that. Laws were passed, not enacted. So, implementation wasn't there. It continued. Because see, alcohol was not brought by the Portuguese.
We had our own.
We had our own. We had the pump penny.
Every part of the world has its own.
Correct.
Yes.
Only thing that they allowed it, you know, to be produced in a bigger quantities, because it was a revenue for them. See, one of the important revenues for the Portuguese government was the tax on palm penny.
Now, your last chapter is called The Economic Blockade and the Pangs of Hunger. This is the period when obviously the Indian Union imposed an economic blockade, and it's also the time when we were starting to tend towards, you know, assimilation into the Indian Union in a sense. You've lived through times of both peace and turbulence, colonialism and independent India. How do you see culture and society evolving through the lens of both?
Well, and during the economic blockade, I use that and the pangs of hunger.
Yes.
You know, because the blockade, of course, blocks something. Right, and the blockade was to block the arrival or the food, or Indian government stopped sending food to Goa on Daman and Diu, to the territories. But another important thing that they did was remittances. There was a lot of money coming from Indian Union, okay, and this remittances also ran the state or the territory. So, there was no money also for the government here, and no money for people to buy, even the food was being imported. So, what Portugal did, introduce the airlines. So, ours was the only colony which had our own airline. The transport side, the India Portuguese, you know. So, they could bring the food. The mine owners were asked to, because the ships were coming empty, to come with food.
Okay.
Yeah, and then take the ore. And it did evolve at that point of time. It did evolve, not with everyone. The hunger and problems started with those who depended on the remittances. Okay. But those who were here and earning a salary, you know, they didn't feel much because they had money to buy.
Right.
But not the others.
Yeah.
So, because we had to import everything, we had to import meat, and we had, because cows and were not allowed to come here from the across the border, and so people started suffering. Now, changes were there in the food habits because new items were introduced.
Yeah.
So, a lot of tin stuff, different kind of cheeses and milk, frozen food. Because then there was a plane, and Pakistan became Karachi became the entrepot. Yeah, so it was Karachi, Goa, Daman, Diu, then back to Karachi. You know, that kind of a cycle of this thing. So of the plane. So then it led to change in the society. If you look at today, I would say we have changed a lot. I want to say change for the better. If you look at the society, about the culture, our lifestyle, how we were in a community, you know, even food wise, but now we have lost all that. We have lost because we have moved away to a different kind of lifestyle, which may not even be a healthy lifestyle if you're looking at food. And because we did not eat so much of
processed food.
Exactly, and there was no money also.
That's true. We lived off the land.
Exactly.
We no longer depend
Correct,
on the land.
and we lived off the salary that we got, which was enough to maintain a house and say some savings or build a house, something, or education, which was primary for everyone to have their children educated. So there was a change in the society, a change among the youngsters. We had, of course, more chances of having different kind of education, which we might not have had during the Portuguese regime.
We are living in a time now when reading as a form of information, but also as a means of entertainment, has closed down in many ways. There is a small group everywhere of enthusiasts who will continue to guide people towards reading, trying to encourage and inculcate the habit. Particularly in the case of the Gen X, the Gen Z, reading really isn't their go-to. And yet you say your book is for everyone. What do you think would be something that would bring people to your book?
Reading, we say that it has reduced, but there is also a certain percentage of people who are interested in amongst youngsters. It's up to the parents to inculcate the habit into the children to read.
True.
Now, coming to my book, for example, it's also more, it's readable true and true. It's not something heavy like you go, it's a document number so and so, document number. Like I said, you have the periodicals, you have the stories, you have the novels, and you have the poetry too.
Okay.
Yes, I have poetry too, because I use even a poem of R.V. Pandit.
Okay.
Where it speaks about again the poor farmer.
Okay.
Okay, who is a tenant of the Badkar and will take his rice, because the whole poem is on that. So there is a lot of literature talking about our problems. It has to be analyzed and utilized. Utilized, yeah. So as I said, I opened up as a historian, not as a person of literature. Agree or disagree, because this has become a world trend now. Opening and periodicals are no more considered as something that it is just a newspaper.
Right.
It's in fact a people's archive. But it's up to you to see that whatever you are using is in the right perspective. And when you are using a novel also, I use Singh the Era, but not only that, I use others also to compare. But then again, you don't take 20 and enumerate the 20 and say,
you need to
exactly.
condense
So you
and bring
select,
it down.
you select.
Yes.
So we have to change also how we are working.
Yeah. What's your vision for food integration and harmony?
See, as a librarian, I had experience that of students coming to me, readers coming to me. So I felt, why not document? So writing a book, publishing a book is nothing by documenting it. A novel and fiction is for entertainment. Okay, but these books are more for documenting, so that next generation can use it. The same thing also, I'm giving an opportunity for someone to carry on. It's not the end. It's just starting with the food. When I write about food, I say, oh, how can another person write about food? I don't say that. I'm just beginning with it, and let others come up with it. For example, rice can be studied on its own. There's a lot on rice.
Well, I hope that lots more people find new beginnings in what you've started. You've set the ball rolling, and hopefully it ends up in a rice field. But thank you so much for spending this time with us. And dear viewers, I hope it's been insightful for you. Do look out for the book, pick it up. It does promise to be an extremely interesting read.